Hey guys, so today we are talking about GEMS, which is a new cryptocurrency that looks, in my mind, very promising. I'm definitely going to be investing in this, but let's go ahead and talk about what it is today. So GEMS was founded by two brothers in Harvard who dropped out, actually. They dropped out, co-founded GIFs.com. You can check them out on gems.org. The rest of their team looks pretty promising. You have Biz Stone, who co-founded Twitter. You've got Ben Maurer, co-founded reCAPTCHA, is now with Facebook. So this team is actually pretty, in my mind, explosive. I mean, they're a pretty high-powered team. So let's talk about what GEMS is. So GEMS is a protocol that is simply an online marketplace where businesses and individuals interact. And what businesses do is request that individuals do micro tasks that computers probably could or should be able to do, but can't yet. So what are some examples of this? So currently you have things like AI and labeling objects and photos to enable machine learning. So for instance, you have 1,000 pictures of cats and dogs, and you're trying to train a computer to recognize what is a cat versus a dog so that it can automatically label those photos in the future. Another example is tagging and identifying products such as clothing. So using keywords or descriptors to identify them. So when people do searches, they see, okay, I'm looking for a red shirt that is this brand, that has this material. Another example is manual web crawling for info. So if you don't have a computer program that's performing web crawling for you, you might have people go and do it. If you're in the steel industry and you're looking for buyers of steel, so you want to identify construction companies in Los Angeles, for example, and you want to find out what are the top 20 construction companies, who are the buyers for steel. I want their names and phone numbers. Well, you might find that on the construction website. You might find that through LinkedIn. This is a growing industry. A lot of these things are being outsourced and paid for, but there are some current problems in the industry which GEMS is looking to solve. So some of the current industry inefficiencies in microtasking for the requesters, that would be the businesses. For instance, they have to pay 5 to 15 workers just to gain consensus. So you need multiple people to verify that what one entry says it was is accurate, that it is a cat, that it is a dog. And that gets expensive, paying multiple people. You have low quality or difficult to use user interfaces or user experiences. A lot of the user experience is clunky, difficult to use, which generates poorer quality results potentially for the businesses. There are high fees by middlemen. So Amazon is charging quite a bit. Crowdflower is charging quite a bit. So let's talk about some of the workers and some of the problems that they currently face. So you have millions of unbanked users who can't join. And maybe if you're coming from the US like I am, it's hard to think of banks not being readily available. But in poorer areas of the world, banks are not as easily accessible as they are here, like in the US or most of Europe, other places. And generally speaking, that's because there are poorer areas that are less accessible, more remote, and they're less profitable for bankers to engage with. And these poor areas, lower income areas, are the exact markets that would be using something like this service. So another thing with the payments regarding to banks and all that is they're often delayed or misdelivered. So again, these sometimes are in rural areas or remote areas. Some of these places that people live in that are performing these tasks often or sometimes may not even have street addresses or street road names or signs. I don't know if you ever visited any third world countries, but the mailing systems that operate in certain countries are not like you would expect. Another bullet point on here is users are required to provide private info. So birth date, social security, and oftentimes even things like your Facebook profile. And not everybody, one, wants to give that info up, or two, sometimes people don't even have access to that info. There are a lot of people who don't have birth certificates, who don't have social security numbers. Again, remote, rural areas, poor, low-income areas or countries. And finally, less workers are employed due to high costs. So Gyms is proposing that they could eliminate up to 40% of costs for companies. And so if you look at this graph on the left, say hypothetically you had $100, 60% is going to a user. Intermediaries are charging up to 40%. That's 40% more that could be applied to workers. Businesses could pay workers more on this platform versus others because there are lower costs. Don't know if they'll actually do that, but this is a huge deal for businesses and the workers. So kind of a breakdown of the benefits and the features that Gyms has over MTurk, Mechanical Turk, or Crowdflower is there's no fee per task. So if you want somebody to do one thing, you don't have to pay a fee per task. There's no researcher sign-up fee. Again, lowers your initial costs of entering into the microtask kind of platform. There's no redundant tasks, so you don't need 5 to 15 workers to perform consensus on a task. So one of the ways this is done is by kind of like how Uber or any other like company where you rate a service or you rate an individual is there's something called a trust score in Gyms. So an individual will have a trust score, and as that score increases by doing work that has been verified in the past, they will be selected to do work in the future more often based off of that rating. It's open to the unbanked. All you need is access to the internet, access to the Gyms protocol through the internet, open source UI UX, which we talked about a little bit, and it's easy to sign up as a worker. There's not barriers that are going to limit your ability to sign up. If you think any of you guys who signed up for Coinbase or Gemini or whatever your exchange is, and you have to submit all these documents, I mean, obviously you don't like doing that. You have to get verified. It takes time. You might have missed some investments on the way. So they're trying to eliminate this and just say, hey, look, we're going to verify people based off of their activity and their trustworthiness and their past behavior, which creates, again, this trust score that businesses can utilize with confidence when they select people to perform tasks. So that's pretty much it. If you want any more info, I would highly recommend just going straight to gyms.org, Twitter @Gyms. You can also join the Telegram at this link. But that is all I got. So thank you guys for your time, and I'll catch you later.